Hello everyone and welcome to Bendy Minds. My name is Elena and on this channel I'm sharing yoga sessions and tips and insights on how to better handle your stress levels and how to maintain a healthy body and mind. So if you're new here and you don't want to miss any of my episodes, make sure you click subscribe and leave me a like if you like my content. So today I want to talk about why our breath is the most potent tool that we can use in order to manage stress better. So if you've ever been in a yoga class or if you've watched any of my yoga videos here, you might notice that again and again the instruction of breathing deeply, breathing a bit longer, breathing a bit louder, etc., is very common. So again and again, it doesn't even matter what kind of yoga style you're practicing, the teacher will most usually refer to and remind you about the breath. Why is that? So in order to understand that, we'll have to have a short detour and cover the basic functionality of our nervous system itself. So you might know that the nervous system itself, which is responsible on how we are working and responding to stress that's coming from the outside, is made up of two parts. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so the sympathetic nervous system is the one that we refer to as the fight or flight mode. So this one is activated whenever the brain perceives some kind of danger happening around us. Okay, so in that case, whenever this danger is perceived, the sympathetic nervous system is triggered and will automatically cause a series of reactions in the body that will prepare you to be that will cause you to be prepared in order to either defend yourself against some enemy or tiger or whatever in former times, or run from it. Okay, the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that refers to rest and digest. It's the counterpart to the sympathetic, so they work together and they kind of balance each other out in an ideal state. Parasympathetic nervous system is responsible to, first of all, conquer everything that has to do in a non-emergency state. So whenever there's no danger around, this is the system that will take care of our digestion, that will take care of the breathing, make sure the organs are running well and that the repair processes in the cells are going on. And this one also is the one that is counteracting when the sympathetic nervous system has been active before. So how can we influence this nervous system? Because it sounds like it has pretty much to do on how we respond to stress. Now, an important factor to know here is that the nervous system itself is a very complex mechanism, and it is almost 100% autonomic. That means we do not have conscious control over it. We cannot handle it up or down with our pure will. But saying that, there are certain tools in the body that we can use in order to indirectly address parts of the nervous system. And in the case of stress reduction or stress release, it makes a lot of sense to address specifically the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which is counter-regulating the sympathetic, the stress part, back down into a more relaxed state. And there is one major tool in the body, one major nerve that I want to refer to in that context that is directly linked to the parasympathetic. And this one is called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a long nerve that is connecting your brain with your gut, and it acts like a direct reporter to the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling that everything is calm and that it can start to get triggered and do its work. So when the sympathetic nervous system is acting up and you will feel that a stress response is coming, So that means stress response means the heart rate will go up and adrenaline will be flushed into the body, and the breathing will become a little faster and a little more restricted. The joints will stiffen, all these kinds of action. The parasympathetic will start to tune this response down once it is triggered. So the vagus nerve, as this really long nerve, is running from the head, from the brain, all the way over the sides of the neck, through the chest, and connects in your lungs. And here's where it becomes really interesting for the breath. Imagine, since this nerve is actually running through the chest and running through the lungs, every time we inhale, we are slightly stretching this nerve. Okay, it's not to understand like a muscle kind of stretch, since this is a nerve, but through activating the nerve, through breathing and movement into this part where the nerve is located, we are starting to stimulate that nerve. And whenever this nerve gets stimulated, it sends the calming messages to the parasympathetic nervous system to act. So how do we effectively stimulate that nerve? Well, you guessed it, it has to do with deep breathing, okay? So usually what happens in our day-to-day life, and if you've never gone to a yoga class and you've never been taught otherwise, our breath is somewhere in this upper part of the body. So we breathe in and out. You know how to breathe, right? You don't really have to read a book about it or to listen to anyone explaining it to you. You will breathe just enough, but you will only breathe in this upper part of the chest, which is okay, which is enough to survive, but it will not have this extremely stimulating effect on the vagus nerve. So in order to address that, in order to trigger this, we will have to use the lower part of the upper body too to breathe, meaning we have to breathe into the belly. For most of us, this is quite an uncommon thing to do, since we never have been taught to really send the breath there. Up to the point where, if you're anything like me, you might even feel uncomfortable to loosen up the belly and to let it be deflating outwards, since there might be social conditioning or shame around the body, and maybe you've been told all your life that you have to keep the navel a little bit tighter, okay, so that the belly is flat and it looks aesthetically nice. But for the deep breathing and for your stress management, it is important to let the belly loose and to breathe all the way down there. And now what happens is that the moment when we start to take up a regular breathing practice, and that could be just meaning that you sit down every day and do a few deep breathing exercises, or you practice any kind of yoga movement and you connect it with the deep breathing, but you do it regularly. So once you have that regular practice of the deep breathing in place, you will start to develop something that's called the vagal tone. The vagal tone is just like a muscle tone. So just as we train a muscle by repeating the same action so that it gets stronger, the vagal tone means that we are repeating the deep breathing and make that our new breathing pattern, so that the body doesn't even have to think about that anymore. It becomes very normal for you to breathe deeply, and the vagus nerve gets a habit of being stimulated on a regular daily basis, and that means that the nervous system becomes a tendency of being a little more parasympathetically stimulated. So that means the whole functions around that will start to trigger the parasympathetic calming nervous system will be proactively trained and will react much quicker the moment a stressor comes in and the moment we get a stress response, and will much quicker start to counteract the stress response from the back end and calm the system back down. And what that means for us as a result is that whenever something stressful happens around us, say for example at work, we are already prepared, and it will take us much less time to come back to our relaxed state before the stress happened. Pretty cool, huh? So it's a really simple technique which is very efficient. It just means that we have to practice it correctly and regularly. So let me know in the comments below if you want to hear more about the deep belly breathing, and in case you want to start your practice and want to have instructions on how to correctly do it, follow the link below, head over to my website to download your free guided breath work on the belly breath. So that was it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a thumbs up if you liked it so that I know to make more videos about similar topics. And I wish you a wonderful day and see you soon.